Romulo can't just be boiling empty jars. There should be more to this. And what are these tomatoes for? Find out. You're watching the gardening series here at the kitchen. Hello, good evening to you. It's what's the day today? It's Wednesday evening. But yeah, I still have this harvest from the garden. My very first pear harvest. But now I'm beginning to get more and more tomatoes. Yeah, and what should I do with this? I'll be canning them. I'll be preserving them for sauce purposes later. So I'll be showing you how to preserve tomatoes, how to can tomatoes. By the way, you're watching the gardening series. We may be at the kitchen, but this is the gardening series. A short tutorial on how to can tomatoes. It's easy. What do we need? You might think this is a difficult task, but you only need, if you leave,
That is when you live
let's say
in a
this is slightly
place
above sea level
which is
or on
at
the
sea level or slightly
This is easy,
above
but
sea
if you
level.
live in, let's say, in the highlands, it may require more equipment.
More equipment or prolonged
What do we
steps.
need? So first, we just have to wash the tomatoes. Yeah. And while I'm preparing the tomatoes, let me show you that I'm now boiling the jars that I'll be using. You have to sterilize them, the lid and the bottle as well, just to kill the bacteria. I still have this, but I won't be including them in the canning. Just slice your tomato, or put your tomatoes like this. Not too fine, quarter will be good. As long as you are able to put as many as you can in the jars. I'm really tired. It's my work week, but nevertheless, I feel the need to preserve this. I spent much energy growing the tomatoes, so I'll preserve them. I'll can them so that I can store them for months or even years without refrigeration. By the way, this procedure is also applicable to jams or any sour or acidic foods. You can do the same without the need for high-tech equipment. These are what we need. Jars, which can be sealable. These are intended for canning or preserving food. Jars with this kind of lid. Vinegar or lemon. And we also need a big pot which can contain water deep enough to submerge the jars we are using. I repeat, for acidic or sour food and jams, you can do this procedure. And if you leave just slightly above sea level, you can do this. We have special adjustments if you live in the highlands. Let's start. First, I'll fill the jars with the tomatoes. Just peel the jar. It's difficult to be using this small jar. This could have been better, but since I I'll be cooking small amounts or small portions of dishes which require smaller quantity of tomatoes, I'll be using these small jars. Yeah, that would be good. And fill it with boiled water. Yeah. Some cleaning, Romila. Yeah. And then I'll clean this first. I made a mess. Yeah. And we can either use a teaspoon of lemon juice or vinegar. Let's approximate it. Okay. And don't forget to leave a space. Don't fill your jar completely. There should be a space for the air. You need that for locking later. And we close it. Not very tight. Just tight. It's tight enough, but not very tight. You need still some gap for the air to escape later while it's boiling. So, yeah, not too tight. We'll do the rest. I have filled the rest of the jars, and I'll be adding some vinegar. Vinegar adds acidity to the solution or to the food, which as a result will prolong the shelf life months or even years without refrigeration. Again, notice the air spaces, or the airspace that I left. Don't fill the jar completely. Now you understand what's the purpose of this in canned foods. That provides, or that gives a sign later that it's properly airtight. Be reminded that I use hot boiled water even for each can or for each pot. That will enable me to cook them quicker, and it should not be longer, or to boil them quicker. It should not be longer than 30 minutes. I can put it now. Oh, careful, Romila. You might break a jar. I didn't have the right equipment, but that's it. Let's just boil this for 30 minutes, and we're done. Well, of course, we have to let them cool and store them in a cool, dry place. And we have tomatoes for any time of the coming months and even years. They are best used for, let's say, recipes with tomatoes. Let's say mechado, affrittata, etc. Not for your salad, of course. Any recipe that requires tomato sauce or tomatoes. It's about to boil now, and notice the air bubbles coming from the jars. Air escaping because of the increasing temperature. It's about to boil. And when it cools, it will compress, sealing eventually the jars. It's now boiling. Our bath is now boiling. And you know that in areas which are just above sea level, just here, let's say Pangasinan, that area, or do you know that in areas which are just above sea level, we know, we learn from physics that the water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. However, in higher altitudes, let's say in Baguio, in the Cordilleras, at elevations like Baguio, water boils at lower temperature, at 96 degrees Celsius. So, if you are in higher altitudes, you have to boil this for a longer period of time to kill the bacteria. Here in Holland, in areas where there are even areas here that are 3 meters below sea level, 30 meters would be enough. For higher altitudes, try to boil it longer. Say 40 minutes, 10 minutes additional if you're in Baguio and the Cordilleras. Considering the size of the jars, it's been boiling for 30 minutes and that would be enough. Let's turn it off and remove its jar. I don't have the proper equipment. I should be using here a clam. But this works, this oven mitten. Yeah. Yeah. Notice how expanded, how bulged the lids have become due to the air pressure inside. But once it cools, this will be pulled back, sealing it eventually. This will come down. We should even hear it pop, pop, pop. But we have to leave. We have to go to the gym. So we won't be hearing them pop, but once we come back, they should be sealed completely. Until later, we go to the gym now.
And while Romilo is away, we'd like to hear from you. What do you want us to show or to do here on this channel, either at the cooking series or at the gardening series? And don't forget to subscribe, and if you like it, like, and even better, share, to showcase the recipes of our homeland and at the same time expose our palate to easily adaptable international cuisine. And Romilo is back.
Approximately after 2 hours, our preserves have cooled down. Notice the lid, they have retracted. This is the condition. It should not move. It's hard. It shouldn't move. If it moves, consume it as soon as possible, within 2 months or so. And we just have to store them in a cool, dry place. And we have tomatoes for the future. If you're interested in canning other goods or other food items like fish or meat, there's another procedure for that. They are less acidic, or they're non-acidic, so they have to be boiled in higher temperature. Not just 100, but it should reach 120. I've got materials on that. If you're interested, just comment and I can send you the material from a well-known university in the US. Thank you for joining your Kuya tonight in our gardening series. That's it. Easy canning or preserving tomato. And until next time, if you enjoyed watching this and if you learned something, if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. And you can browse through our playlist for our existing episodes. Until next time, your Kuya and Uncle in Holland. Dios siagbati. Bye-bye.